Be available, and other senior officers will be available at all times in relation to this, later tonight if need be, and certainly again tomorrow morning. I think everyone knows the Police Minister, Minister Dempsey. He will make some opening comments, then I will give you the latest advice that we have, seek your assistance in appealing for public information, then we'll open it up for questions. Minister.
Look, thank you. Obviously, a major incident has happened at the Robina Shopping Centre at approximately 1:50 this afternoon. I've directed the Commissioner to throw all resources at this incident and other incidents that have happened over the last week. The Commissioner is happy with the resources that he has received, but also all Queenslanders have had enough of this type of incident, particularly occurring in open spaces and public areas. And the message is simply clear. This form of illegal activity will not be condoned. If you commit these type of activities, the full force of the law and the resources here in Queensland will be thrown at you, and the community expectations are that you will receive the most harshest penalties. As we speak now, laws are being formulated and will be presented within the next couple of days in relation to having some of the toughest illegal firearm laws that are across all the states. So for the particular instance in relation to what has occurred today, I've just passed it on to the Commissioner, but the people of Queensland need to be reassured that Queensland is a safe place. Illegal activity will be not condoned, and that the police service has the resources and will be using the full force of those resources against people who commit these type of illegal activities. Thanks, Commissioner.
Yeah. As you're aware, at approximately 1:50 p.m. today at Robina Shopping Centre, an adult middle-aged male and female were both shot by a person who, in the early stages, and this is yet to be confirmed, but the initial description is an adult male, solidly built, Pacific Islander or Maori in appearance, with a prominent tattoo on his neck. Now we'll confirm that description further later, but that's the information we have at the moment. Part of this investigation, of course, involves the interview of witnesses and closed-circuit television. We believe that the male person who was shot has outlaw motorcycle gang connections. It would seem as though, and this is yet to be confirmed, that the woman who was shot is not connected with the male. Initially and understandably, we thought that that was likely or possible. The latest information, and I'm sure you appreciate this only happened a few hours ago, is that we believe that it is very likely that the woman has no connection with the male. If that is the case, then clearly she was completely and absolutely an innocent bystander, and that is the absolute worst case scenario, that this sort of violence and this escalation spills into a public domain and innocent people are injured. Obviously our investigations are still continuing as we speak, and as I said, we will provide you with all the information we have available as we are able to give it to you. In particular, what we are seeking is the public support and assistance. One of the difficulties with people who engage in this activity, and we've seen an escalation and a series of events in both Brisbane and the Gold Coast in less than a week, literally in the space of 5 days. One of the difficulties with this is these people do not cooperate with the police. They don't even talk to us. They tell us nothing. And most of them, if not all of them, have lawyers on standby who come to their assistance immediately. But there are people out there in the community who will know something about this. People who may be relatives, may be friends, may be associates on the fringe. And we urge and ask anyone who has any information about this matter this afternoon or any of the events of the previous week to contact Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000 and pass that information on to us. This sort of behaviour is completely and totally intolerable and unacceptable in our society, and you have my assurance that the Police Department will do everything we can to find and prosecute the people responsible, and we will do everything we can to prevent this sort of thing happening again into the future. Tonight and tomorrow I'll be meeting with senior officers. I have already since this happened, and having discussions obviously with them about what we will do. We have extra police on tonight in Brisbane, and we are well aware of the event that's occurring at the RNA tonight. We already had a police presence planned for that event. We have significantly ramped that up until it is concluded, and we will, as I said, do everything we can to prevent this sort of thing happening, and we will do all we can to find the people responsible. Now, prepared obviously to take any questions you have.
Any idea what triggered this?
No. That's obviously a key part of the investigation, the motive. At this stage, we don't know. But it would seem as though it's quite likely that it is part of the ongoing escalation of this feuding between people in rival outlaw motorcycle gangs.
So you understand that this woman, the woman that was within, she was shot, wasn't she? But she was just in the way? Is that the situation?
Initially, and I think you would accept quite understandably, we didn't know, but we thought that the woman and the man who was shot may have been together. I understand they were in fairly close proximity of each other. The very latest information, just before we came in here to do this press conference, is that may not be the case, and that the woman is more likely to be a completely innocent bystander.
It's obviously a very alarming escalation to see a shooting inside a crowded shopping centre, isn't it?
Absolutely. And for me, it's the worst case scenario for the community. Obviously, any form of violence between outlaw motorcycle gangs is concerning. Often, they keep that violence to themselves. What we've seen in the space of a week here is an escalation of that violence. Just a couple of days ago, in broad daylight at Morningside and at South Brisbane, there was violence with a number of people armed with baseball bats and in balaclavas going into premises and creating a violent situation there. But until today, that violence has been confined to the various outlaw motorcycle groups fighting with each other. Today we've seen a further escalation to that into what I believe is the worst possible scenario, and that is in a public place with the use of a firearm and potentially an innocent member of the public being shot and other members of the public being terrorised and potentially put at risk. So there is hardly a worst case scenario that you can imagine than what we've seen this afternoon.
What are you going to do to stop it from happening again?
Everything we can, everything we can.
Does this guy know he has a Viking war in his hands?
I'm sorry?
Does this guy know he has a Viking war on his hands?
No, I'm sorry, could you repeat that
Do
question?
you believe this guy thinks he has a Viking war on his hands?
This guy?
The guy that shot him. The two people.
Well, we don't know who that is yet. And obviously, the identity of the person responsible for this is the key aspect of this matter at this point in time.
How did that person manage to get away?
Well, clearly he was able to effect his escape. We don't believe at this point in time that he's still at the shopping centre, and perhaps he had planned that out. These are things we don't know at this point in time.
When you say he has links to an outlaw motorcycle gang, what do you mean by that?
No, I said that the victim, the male victim, did. That we know.
And what do you mean by that? What are the links?
Well, I'm not able or in a position to go beyond that at this stage. That's all part of the investigation. I'll be as forthright and share with you as much information as I'm able to, but please accept that this only happened a few hours ago, and there will be some aspects of the investigation that is necessary for us not to go public with until it's appropriate.
I'm assuming that with the CCTV already. At this stage, does it look like he was stalked through the shopping centre before he was shot, or do we think that it was just a chance meeting? What do we think?
It's a very good question. It is a critical part of the investigation. At this point, we're not sure either way.
Minister, can you explain the new gun laws and when they'll be in place?
Look, those gun laws will be coming out in the short term and rather than the long term, and we'll be announcing those laws within a matter of days. They will be we'll be looking at ranges of extending the mandatory times as well as the lengthening of sentencing, but those announcements will be out within the next few days.
And Campbell even said Viking colours in themselves, if there's anything wrong with that. Is that still the feeling of the current government?
It certainly is, because it doesn't matter what you wear, it's what you do in those colours. and in relation to illegal in relation to illegal gangs and organisations in Queensland and their illegal activity, that is not condoned. It is illegal, and we will ensure that we have the full amount of the penalties that back up the police force here in the state that meets community expectations into this type of vile act that occurs in a public place.
Commissioner, do you actually agree with that? And from your perspective, from a community safety, community fear perspective, do you think it is right that bikies should be wearing colours, or would you like to see them banned?
Look, what I think the Minister and the Premier have both said is that they'll consider anything that works. I think inherently there is a difficulty with creating legislation that penalises you because of the clothing you wear. I think it would be just too complex for words, and I think it'd be unworkable. But what the Minister and the Premier have both said, as far as I understand it, is if there's evidence-based legislation that is able to work and is effective, then they'd consider it. So I'm fine where we are with that at the moment. We've had outlaw motorcycle gangs in Queensland and Australia for many years, and regrettably we've seen this sort of thing before. Milperra, more recently in the Sydney airport, and we had it in Mackay some years ago here in Queensland, and it remains, as it was then, completely intolerable and unacceptable. And again, what we've seen today is the very worst example of that.
So would you say, as far as bikies shooting, is this the worst it's ever been in Queensland?
I think it is. I think it is, and I think it is for this reason, that if, as we believe now, that the woman who was shot is an innocent bystander, a completely innocent victim, I'm not aware in the past in Queensland where that's ever happened.
Minister, just with those
Yep.
laws, so you're saying that they will go further than the Malaysian government's laws, which would have seen them sort of actually disbanded these groups if they were deemed to be all bikie gangs. You'd like to see tougher laws than those?
Look, the whole of the community would like to see tougher illegal firearm laws in relation to the people who are being apprehended by the police, even over the last couple of years. It's the police are catching these offenders, but the community expectations in the courts are not reflective, and the government will be giving the courts the tougher sentences that reflect community expectation and also back up the police service in relation to having the full confidence of the people of Queensland. Now, even with this incident that's occurred today, the people of Queensland need to know that the Commissioner has been given the full resources, a major incident room is in place, and the police service will continue to bring down the full force in relation to illegal gangs and illegal groups that operate here in this state.
Would you like to see tougher bikie laws, though?
We're discussing these matters with the Attorney-General, and the laws that we will be announcing in the coming days will reflect those community expectations in relation to stronger penalties.
How concerned should Gold Coast residents be if they're just going to the shop or something like that?
Look, I would understand their concern. I'm not going to shy away from that. This, again, is the worst-case scenario. I mean, our responsibility as your police department, the police department for the people of Queensland, is to provide for their safety and security. We take that responsibility very seriously. I believe that the Gold Coast is a safe place. I believe that Queensland is a safe place. I just can't guarantee you that things like this will never happen. What we need to do now is find the person or people responsible for this offence today, and we need to do all we can to prevent a recurrence of that. But can I just restate what I said before? One of our great challenges with this is that these people have a code, and that code is that you don't talk to the police, you don't complain, you deal with this amongst yourselves. And that is a very difficult situation for us. So my appeal is that there must be people on the fringe of these gangs, these groups, these people who are relatives, friends or associates who know something about this. And we ask those people to ring Crime Stoppers. They can do that with complete anonymity. 1800 333 000, and pass on any information you have, even if it's only a suspicion of the information, because we must, as a community, work together to stop this happening.
Are you concerned about a retaliation attack?
Yes, I am, very much so. And I'm very concerned about what we've seen in the space of less than a week. We've seen shots fired into a tattoo parlour on the Gold Coast. We've seen what we possibly believe is a car set fire to here in Brisbane. We've seen incidents on Thursday of two premises attacked by men in balaclavas with baseball bats. We've seen what we suspect was an attempt to fire shots late at night into a clubhouse of the Gypsy Jokers at Everton Hills, and now we have this today. And it's unacceptable to everyone. And we will simply, we simply cannot allow this sort of thing to go unchallenged and continue, and we won't. We won't.
Have we underestimated bikies because so much of it has been, between themselves away from the public?
I think that what has happened over time, in some cases, is that perhaps as a community, as a society, and I don't think this has happened in your police department, is that some people have been lulled into a false sense. And one of the reasons is these are not these are smart people. These are highly organised smart people. And I've said this before, and it's a fact. They market themselves very cleverly and carefully, and they market themselves as a group of mature-age, middle-aged men who just have a love for motorbikes and just happen to wear a particular outfit and are no harm to anyone. And that's not so. They are violent, criminal enterprises. They retain the best lawyers who give them advice on police tactics and the law. They are highly intelligent, sophisticated criminal enterprises, and they belie the appearance that they try to market themselves as. And we are aware of that, and that occurs throughout Australia. So all of the police agencies throughout Australia cooperate and work together in terms of dealing with this menace. And today, in my view, what we have probably seen, because what I've said is that the person who was shot has outlaw motorcycle gang connections. We don't know who shot him. We don't know who shot him, and that's still part of the investigation. But what we have seen, I believe, today is the very worst situation, a public place, a shopping centre, the use of firearms, and it would seem as though an innocent person shot.
When you say throwing everything at it, can you give us more of a script?
Yeah. We have kept people on overtime tonight. We will keep people on overtime throughout the night. We have a team of detectives who are on the Gold Coast at the moment. We've established a major incident room at Burleigh Heads at the CIB office there in what's called the Southern Investigation Group office. We have extra police on at this event tonight at the RNA in the Valley, and we will continue to do that. Cost is not an option here. Cost is not an option. We will do everything that is possible to us to both prevent further examples of this happening. And I wish I could say to you and give you a guarantee that will never happen again, what happened today. I wish I could do that, but you know that I can't. You know that I can't do that. All I can say to you is that we'll do everything we can to prevent it happening again, and we will do everything we can to put the people responsible for this and prosecute them and put them before the courts.
Commissioner, an innocent person or innocent people could have been killed today.
Yes. Yes.
So will the latest activities make the Hells Angels and Bandits candidates for new legislation to declare them criminal organisations?
Yeah. Look, the nature of that activity, by its very nature, is confidential, and it's not possible for me to discuss that. And I don't either want to get into the detail of just how many outlaw motorcycle gangs are involved here. Obviously, there's at least 2, could well be more.
Do we know how the woman is?
We think at this stage, and again this is early, because gunshot wounds are a terrible thing, but our initial information is that neither the woman or the man have sustained life-threatening injuries. But again, that's at this point in time, which is only hours after the event. Both are in hospital at the moment being treated as we speak.
Does the man that was shot, does he have associations with the tattoo parlour that was shot at?
Yeah. All I'm prepared to say at this stage is that the male person who was shot has outlaw motorcycle gang connections.
Are you concerned that the wedding will actually spill over into the valley and we could see incidents in the valley tonight?
I hope not. I can't eliminate that risk, but I hope not.
You've got extra police on
Yes, we do. Yes.
Why do police believe so much of this activity is being centred on the Gold Coast? What is it about the Gold Coast that's attracted these outlaw gangs?
Yeah, outlaw motorcycle gang activity is occurring throughout Australia. It's occurring at the moment in South Australia. It's occurring in Sydney. It's occurring elsewhere. The Gold Coast is one of the largest cities in Australia. I think it's the sixth largest city in Australia, so it's inevitable and that there will be outlaw motorcycle gangs who are there. There are outlaw motorcycle gangs in places like Townsville, so that happens throughout Australia.
Just to be clear, Minister, so the the laws are in relation to illegal firearms only, there won't be a further strengthening of laws in relation to bikie activity?
We'll be looking at all laws to ensure that these illegal groups are not feeling comfortable in their beds and in their homes, that the people, the law-abiding people of Queensland, are safe and they are confident within with the police service and confident within the communities they live. And whatever it takes to be able to have the proper reflections of the penalties within the courts that reflect what the people of Queensland want, we'll be ensuring that we'll be looking at everything.
Just on stripping away the illusions that, you know, these are just guys who enjoy motorcycles, should charities stop being involved with them on motorcycle runs and, you know,
That would be my preference. Yeah, I mean, again, that's part of the marketing. The poker runs, which encourage people to join in with them, that's part of the marketing, and it's very clever. And it's something. Obviously, yes, I would like to see people say we're not going to be associated with you in any way at all, because you represent a threat to our society and you are unacceptable. That's what I'd like people to be saying, and enacting. And recognising these groups and these people for what they are, criminals who pose a threat to us.
And the message is clear. We don't want you in our community if you're committing these illegal type of crimes, and the police service will have the resources and then the government will have the legislation in place for you either change your behaviour or go to jail. Simple as that.
Commissioner, we're hearing that, I know you want people to come forward with their information, and obviously there would have been several instances, people witnessing the attack today. We're just hearing from police media that people are concerned about their images being released. Are you concerned that they are too scared to come forward with information because they know it is likely related?
Oh, I'm sure that happens, yeah. I'm sure that happens. In terms of the people involved, I think it's a fair comment to say, not fair in the sense there's anything fair about these people, but it's an accurate comment to say that up until today, they've kept the violence between themselves. And up until today, they haven't given us any assistance or information, which is their normal pattern of behaviour. And it may well be that there are people at times who are on the fringe who are fearful of retribution and violence from them, who are not members of outlaw motorcycle gangs but who are fearful. I think your comment is entirely accurate in that regard. And it's these people that I'm appealing to, these people on the fringe who may have knowledge or information that can assist us with this, particularly with this matter today, as to who this person might be and where he is. And that's why I'm appealing to anyone who has any information to ring Crime Stoppers, 1800 333 000, and pass that information on.
Commissioner, is it still the case that these incidents in Brisbane and the Gold Coast are isolated to South East Queensland and there still are no links to the bike-related violence in Sydney?
Look, as this has escalated, obviously we have become increasingly concerned. And I can't say to you today, tonight, that what happened today has no interstate nexus or connection in any way whatsoever. At this point in time, there's no direct, clear, linked evidence of that. But you couldn't rule it out.
How quickly did police respond to the Robina incident today?
Look, I understand they were there within a very short space of time. Can I come back to you with that information once we have it?
Do you have any information on the injuries, where they were shot, or what that was?
Look, I do, but again, and there are parts of the investigation that I just don't think are appropriate to go into at this stage. What we are told, though, is, and again, I mean, this is very serious injuries, gunshot wounds, and anything can happen in terms of a person's medical condition that can deteriorate rapidly and unexpectedly and quickly. But at this stage, we believe and we're hopeful that the gunshot wounds are not life-threatening.
Were any weapons recovered at the shopping centre?
Not that I'm aware of.
Was there a large ground and air search immediately after it?
My understanding is that the police response was as the best that we could muster, you know, as quickly as possible. And I have no doubt that that was the case.
Chopping used?
That I don't know. Can I come back to you on that information?
Was the whole centre placed into lockdown, or just certain shops?
And again, I'm not sure of that, but certainly we obviously wanted to contain the scene in terms of interviewing every possible witness, and my understanding is that we're in fact grateful to the public for their understanding and support in that regard.
Are you able to tell us where exactly in the shopping centre he through Barnsley, and I know there was a search that involved parts of
Yeah.
the shopping
Yeah, I understand it was in the vicinity of a Sony store. Yeah.
Do you think the offender acted alone or in a group?
The evidence and information at the moment is that there was one male offender. That doesn't mean, though, that there's only one person involved. And obviously that's an important aspect of the inquiry. But at this stage, all we know is that there was one male offender. Could well have had assistance, either in the car park or subsequently.
And is the Hydra Task Force working on this?
Yes, a number of detectives from the Hydra Task Force have gone down to work with Gold Coast detectives in setting up the investigation team, which will be based in a major incident room that will operate out of the Burleigh Heads CIB office, which is known on the Gold Coast. The detectives on the Gold Coast are broken into two groups, the Northern Investigative Group and the Southern Investigative Group. The Southern Group is based at Burleigh, and that's where this major incident room and this team will work from.
Commissioner, should people stay out of Fortitude Valley tonight?
No, they shouldn't, no. And they shouldn't for this reason, because we are not, as a community, going to be dictated to by these people, and we should get about our business and conduct ourselves as we would normally. We cannot allow these people to control our lives. And I know that's a big thing for me to say because I'm safely here in police headquarters at the moment, but we cannot allow these people to change our way of life and take over. Look, thank you for your time. This is so important that I think that the community are aware of this and again provide any information they can to us. We undertake obviously to keep you advised, and I or other senior officers will be available for as long as is necessary until we resolve this. Thank you again.
That's it. Thanks.